Welcome to the SchroBanks Show from Rated R Studios. I'm Rowdy Ray, and I'd like to give a shout out to my co-host right here with us tonight.
Rated R.
Yeah.
You in the building.
My man Champagne Schroeder over there.
What's going on, everybody?
No, we got a good show going on tonight. A couple interesting topics, considering the playoff picture and
Playoffs?
playoffs. Trying to win that game.
You want to talk about playoffs?
And the most recent event, UFC 233. Now that this is in hindsight, 233, how does everybody feel about that event as a whole?
Great event. Maybe the best event of 2018, honestly.
It is up there. It's definitely up there.
Facts.
What, it was that in 229?
Oh,
Yeah.
matter of fact, I forgot about that card.
Because 229 had a lot, bro.
229 was nice. 229.
And like I was telling you
Khabib.
guys, I was telling you guys before, man. Since I'm the more casual UFC watcher of the group, I feel like it was one of the best cards I've seen.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely
From top to bottom, it was fireworks damn near in every fight.
Every fight had a little bit of drama, a little extra oomph behind it, you know.
And even even the early prelims, I watched the Fight Pass prelims. Me and Ray caught a few of those, but to kick off the card, very first, I can't remember the names of the two guys fighting. Literally the very first fight of the night.
I think I showed up a little late for that one.
Yeah, pretty much one elbow out of the clinch, got him down, threw him in a darce, and that was it. It was a wrap.
Good God.
And it started off with the fireworks.
Yeah, and then it was just literally a back and forth fest between Curtis Millender and Siad Baradazada.
Yeah, for sure. Top to bottom, it was a really good card.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Oh, but before we really delve into the main card as a whole, can we talk about how Kat Zingano can't catch a fucking break?
Facts.
Just she is bad luck fighting and just incarnate. It's ridiculous at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at this point, if I was Kat Zingano, I would definitely
Consider retirement.
for sure. I mean, she had a fight, two fights within the same year. First big fight that she had was Misha Tate, and she got hurt after she was supposed to get the title shot, and she got hurt, and it gave Misha the title shot.
Sure did. Damn.
Going back to the beginning of her UFC career, it's been pretty much like this.
Yeah. And I understand that, accidents do happen, but when they just keep happening to the same person, you got to kind of, take a step back and look at it for a few seconds and, really think is this the only way I can make money?
Right.
Because I understand the passion for fighting is always going to be there. And I think she would probably make a fantastic coach or something to that effect. It just seems like her fighting professionally just really isn't written in the cards right now.
Yeah, I mean, have we ever seen that? Have we ever seen someone, let us elaborate a little bit on exactly what happened. Megan Anderson caught her with her toe in the eye.
Yes, throwing a head kick.
So, I mean, have you ever, I've never seen that personally.
No, I feel like this is one of the first times, at least in the UFC, we've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's probably happened in plenty other smaller promotions.
For sure.
And, but the first time in the UFC, yeah, for sure. That's my first time ever seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm used to, they said a poke, and I was like, oh, okay, she got poked in the eye. That's, part of the game. You got open-handed gloves. They said toe, and, completely threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's one of two people that really definitely need to consider retirement off of that prelims.
Yeah, the other one probably should not be named. He's had a hell of a career,
Man.
But when you've lost 7 in a row, haven't won since 2010,
Thoughts should creep up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then I hope the UFC refuses to give him a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, really, last Saturday, that was the perfect fight for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're talking about the BJ Penn Ryan Hall fight, of course, but I mean, it was a perfect fight for him just because, even though he lost and it was very convincingly, it was the perfect opponent to give to BJ for less damage.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to see someone like that just continuously take unneeded.
Unnecessary brain damage, because that's exactly what was happening pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. We both know that I haven't watched any of BJ's most recent fights.
Yeah. Outside of the Rory McDonald fight, I think that was probably the last one you've watched, right?
Yeah, that was the last fight I watched. That one live on Fox. That's the last BJ fight I ever
Good
watched.
God, yeah.
And that one was not good.
And he's taken some hellacious beatings since then.
Yeah.
Still, the fact that it took till, Frankie to actually knock him out, I want to say?
Yeah, finish him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a TKO. I don't think he actually finished, or, knocked him out
Knocked
cold.
him out, yeah.
Yeah.
Did Rodriguez do it? Did he score a KO, or was it just another TKO?
I'm not 100% positive on Yair.
Right. Back on to the main card.
Yeah.
Which fight was it that started us off that night?
Kicked us off with Chad Money Mendez and Volkanovski.
Yes, Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Volkanovski made his name that night. I know his name, and I know it well.
That was the crazy thing because we started off saying, I asked you guys, who were you taking? You said Mendez because I don't know who this Volkanovski guy is.
Mm-hmm.
This Volkanovski guy has literally only come up in like the past year at this point.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a little crazy because before this, he was a highly touted prospect, and he's a contender now. You know what I'm saying? He's up there with the upper echelon guys, like at least top 7 guys.
And not to mention, right after the fight's over, he made a campaign to fight Max.
Oh, he sure did. And the featherweight division is wide open because really, I would love to ask just a random person who's right there at the top 5 in featherweight. I'll wait. Yeah, exactly. Cue that Jeopardy music.
Who is really out there at 145?
Nobody. If anything, though, I think they should give him maybe one more fight in the in-between time. Maybe a guy like Cub Swanson.
Max Holloway, or are you talking about Volkanovski?
Volkanovski. Yeah. Because Max, his options are wide open. He could easily just jump to 55 because, he's basically cleaned out that division.
Yeah, I would almost rather see him at 55.
Yeah. Especially seeing how that weight cut affects him, you can see it in his face.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. When you see Max before weigh-ins and right there, it's definitely.
It's an extreme weight cut.
Yeah,
to say the very least.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, it's a tough weight cut on him. I think he definitely needs to move up soon. I think he probably could stand another fight, maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe. 1. I would say get one more fight at featherweight and then go ahead and go up to 55. Because up there, that's where the killers are.
Yeah. And they've already teased to fight with him and Khabib, and we would all love to see that fight. And honestly, at this point, I would love to see him run that back with Conor.
I would love to see him running back with Conor. Throw down with Tony Ferguson. Kevin Lee, how does he pose problems for him? There's a bunch of guys I feel like they could give him issues. Honestly, it'd be a fantastic fight that I've never seen anybody mention, and I think Nate Diaz might be down for it.
That would be an extremely good fight.
Oh, for sure. Like, the stylistic matchup, because I feel like Nate would be at a severe disadvantage speed-wise, but
yeah,
they hands are about equal.
Yeah, and the frames, like looking at each of their frames are very similar.
Built similar, and they both have decent ground. Like, one is more proficient in the ground game than the other, and so styles make fights, and that's definitely the fight to make.
Yeah, that would definitely
that's a money fight.
Make an insane matchup. Before anything at 55 though, before anything, I don't care what happens, I need to see Khabib versus Tony first.
Oh, for sure.
I need that fight. That is
that's priority number 1.
That is my number 1. Like, everybody's talking about all kinds of different fights. I'm sure we'll get more into Jones Cormier, but I feel like that seems a consensus of like what people want to see. I want to see Khabib Tony.
For sure.
Forget Jones DC3. I want to see Tony Khabib.
No, the MMA guys need to quit playing and bless us one time for the one time and give us that fight, because they've made it 5 times. They scheduled that fight 5 times.
Yeah, I think so.
That's ridiculous, and we still haven't seen that fantastic matchup. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it really is. So going as we were talking about Volkanovski and Mendez, as Randy was saying, like we didn't know much about Volkanovski, and we do now.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we do now.
Do you see me now,
man? For real. Moving on. What was the second fight?
I believe it was Corey Anderson and
okay,
Latifi.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so I was talking about that Corey Anderson and Ilir Latifi fight. That was not the move.
Yeah.
It was okay, but it's just like Corey Anderson as a fighter, watching him fight, you want to respect it, you know what I'm saying, because you see the hard work put in, but his fights are just not visually pleasing, to be completely honest.
I hate to say, like, it's that style of fighting, because, at the end of the day, he's protecting himself, and I can't get mad at that. No. But at the same time, like, do you want to make a real name for yourself or not?
Honestly, if he fights any guy at the top 5.
Well, at this point, all he's got is in front of him is Lionheart, Anthony Smith. He's got Gus,
Edgemere.
DC.
Don't forget Edgemere.
Is he still ahead of him?
I think so.
Okay, so Edgemere and John Jones.
Yeah, Johnny Bones.
And he's got John Jones' attention.
Yeah.
You seen the tweet John Jones sent out?
He told him and Anthony Lionheart Smith, y'all sure y'all want this smoke? Because that ain't what you want. At least I don't think so. And that's the whole thing. He is literally he's just an MMA fighter. Like, I know his base is wrestling, but totally. Nothing I see that's exceptional about him in his game.
No, I totally agree with you. He's kind of like all put together, but not quite polished anyway.
Exactly. Like jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I see with him.
That's for sure. Well, and even look at last Saturday night at 232. He couldn't take Ilir down every time he tried.
Nope.
He stuffed him.
Even when the man was dog tired, and you seen it. Ilir Latifi by the third round was visibly gassed.
Yeah, and every time Corey Anderson came in, he telegraphed it enough where Ilir could get that underhook every time.
Every time.
If someone gets that underhook on you, defending a takedown, it's almost a wrap.
Yeah,
you're not gonna take him down.
It's extremely
Might as well start
difficult.
working from the cage.
Yep. Third fight on the card, Michael Chiesa made his name at 170 that night against the veteran Carlos Condit.
He pulled off a modified Wonder Bar.
Yes, he did. And for some people who don't know what the Wonder Bar is, that was a modified Kimura performed by Phil Davis, a.k.a. Mr. Wonderful. And what a submission that was, because I didn't think Chiesa would be this strong at 170, but good God, does that man look...
He looks great at 170. I'm shocked.
Low-key, he got a little brolic in there.
Yeah, and I didn't expect it because, I mean, really, like, I feel like at 55, he's kind of that guy that's like, yeah, he's good, but he's not going to beat any of the top guys. I mean, that Anthony Pettis fight really just embodied who he is at 55.
At 55, he just seemed like a, perennial top 15er, but can't break into the top 10. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
But yeah, no, and Carlos Condit, he threatened from the bottom well.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Carlos Condit throughout the night.
His jiu-jitsu was looking on point for a second.
Condit's guard was really nice. He almost had an armbar at one point. Anything else he really?
I think he threatened with a triangle at a certain point.
I think he did too. I want to say he went for a knee bar at one point.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did.
Because they each were kind of going for a leg at that point.
Yeah,
kind of in that weird figure four.
Yeah, that that little twister game you try to play down there. But yeah, and then once Michael Chiesa kind of realized like, oh, there's not much he can do to me. He just went in there, executed that what was it, modified not armbar, but Kimura.
Yeah,
he did it was just it was
nasty.
Yeah, he kind of like it was kind of weird, like them weird submissions your big brother used to put you in, put your arm behind your back, say uncle type joints.
Yep.
It was something to see.
Well, I was just gonna ask you, who do you put Chiesa against next?
Chiesa at 170. To be honest, I think he deserves a name, like a solid name. So
I mean, he beat a name.
Yeah,
Condit's a name.
Yeah, no, and I'm saying like an even more established name. I wouldn't mind seeing him against maybe Rafael dos Anjos.
That would be a good fight.
That'd be a good fight, or possibly Santiago Ponzinibbio. He just came off a really big win. Neil Magny, that pretty much 170 is his oyster at this point.
Yeah, there's so much talent.
Oh my God, dude! I don't know which division is stacked more, that or 55. It's ridiculous.
How is the UFC messing up the welterweight division? I feel like everything that they did in 2018 with the welterweight division was just silly. We got the Colby Covington and Rafael dos Anjos fight for an interim title that didn't need to happen. Exactly. Because you just, right after that, I don't know how long in between those two were, but right after that you get Woodley versus Till for the real belt. We don't even know if Covington is the interim champ or not anymore at this point.
They won't outright say he's stripped or...
And then at the end of the day, like, we all know Woodley versus Covington needs to happen. But now you also have another guy in Kamaru Usman that deserves a title shot. So they have to figure this out quick. Because at this point, like, if I'm Usman, I don't take another fight until I fight for the belt.
For sure. I would go the Woodley route.
The Woodley route, yeah.
Because,
I mean, he deserves it. And
they said I get a title shot. I'm going to wait till I get this title shot.
And I don't hold that against anyone, really, if you're going to hold out for that. Because who would necessarily be there for an interim fight? Because I don't necessarily have too much of a problem with the interim title fights, to a point where Usman deserves a shot.
For sure.
But we need to see Woodley Covington first. But is there anyone out there that's on Usman's level that just deserves a title fight?
In the welterweight division, I can't outright say that.
Yeah, so I don't have anyone to put against him for an interim title.
No.
So that leaves you on the shelf.
Exactly.
I feel. Because I think at the end of the day, an interim title, can also save a challenger, just as much. I mean, look at McGregor Mendez.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
That it's all a time frame thing.
Yeah,
at this point.
You're absolutely right with that, because that's what helped save the featherweight division for a little while. Breathed a little extra life into it, because you were able to market Conor McGregor as a champion, even though he wasn't the champion. He was keeping the the division alive while the champion was on the shelf, healing up from injury. But enough about the UFC and its practices, because
yeah, we'll forget that. Co-main event.
God.
Woo! That pretty much sums up that entire... How did Amanda Nunes do the same thing she did to Ronda Rousey to Cyborg?
To Christiane Cyborg Santos, who her her striking credentials just, far outweigh Amanda Nunes's, and got schooled in there
by miles. I mean, we talked about it before the event, and I didn't think there's any way Amanda Nunes was going to win this fight unless she at least wrestled her for a couple rounds.
Tired her out, got those arms working, pumped full of blood. Kind of hard to throw them arms, right? No, she went in there and went toe-to-toe with possibly the scariest women's striker that the sport has ever seen.
And right in the pocket. Stayed in the pocket
10
the
toes
entire
down.
time.
And put it to her. That was the thing that got me, was just the amount of combos she was putting on this woman.
Well, and I feel like even from when that first combo landed and you clearly visibly saw Cyborg rocked, we all were going crazy because from the moment it happened, because I feel like you could just kind of feel what was about to happen.
Oh yeah, and you could feel the momentum, and you just seen her just teeing off on her.
Exactly.
And props to Cyborg for staying in there and trying to fire back and getting off of her couple shots, but they wasn't hitting the same way Amanda Nunes hit. She hit different.
And it's amazing. When you see Cyborg and what she's done throughout her career, and then you pair her against Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes
comes and starches her like that,
and is clearly hitting harder than Cyborg. I think one of the biggest things about this is the weight.
The weight disparity.
Yeah. Well, look, you got Amanda Nunes coming up in weight. Meanwhile, Cyborg is definitely cutting to get to 45.
Yes, her cuts to 45 have been brutal over the years.
Yeah.
So, and this is something else that I kind of feel like got swept under the rug. Christian Cyborg Santos has, she's getting up there in age a little bit, slowly but surely. I think the woman is about 34, I want to say, between 32 and 34, something to that effect. Yeah. So, not a spring chicken per se.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And meanwhile, Amanda Nunes is, I believe she's 29.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes is right in her prime.
Yeah, so she's the young lion, you know what I'm saying? And
the lioness.
Excuse me, the young lioness. Yes. For sure. And boy, did she show it. Yeah. That's her jungle. Women's divisions go through her.
Exactly.
Also, it's kind of cool too to see a LGBTQ fighter too. You know what I'm saying? Outward. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really cool. And then, Nina Ansaroff, she beat Claudia Gadelha.
Oh, yeah. I did actually just see that. I didn't get to watch that fight, but I did just see that she beat Gadelha, and that shocked me.
Right, because, Gadelha, she's been a top 3, sometimes top 2 fighter in that division for, since its inception. Yeah. And she got thoroughly outclassed by Nina Ansaroff, and I don't want to, make excuses for Gadelha, but she looked a little off that night. But props to Ansaroff for being the better woman tonight, because she put it to her. You know what I'm saying? Well,
and take that back to Gadelha's last fight, too. That Carla Esparza fight was not a walk in the park. She did not look like herself in that fight.
To be honest, I think she's been known to be possibly the strongest woman in the 15 division. I think it's about time she moved up to 25.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, so she can be as strong as she wants to feel and doesn't have to worry about such a draining weight cut.
Exactly.
Because you've seen her and she looks kind of bad. I don't know who looks worse, her or Joanna on
they look strawweight.
They look pretty bad at strawweight,
for sure.
Weigh-in day.
Maybe something that helped Rose,
Yeah.
As you're starting to see, the way I'm starting to really get aboard. No more weight cutting. We're gonna get better performances out of these guys without this weight cut. Why? What's the point of it? And if you can do it at a level where everybody's on the same page and nobody's really cutting weight, why not? It's just show. Look at Rafael Dos Anjos after he moved up,
revived his career,
put on a clinic against Robbie Lawler.
Former champion, three-time defending?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And destroyed that man from
put
pillar
on
to post.
A clinic.
Yes.
Just all around. I feel like Chiesa that we saw.
Look, case in point, Chiesa moving up, and God had that. DC returning to his original weight.
Exactly.
And he looks phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So I feel like there's more pros than there is cons to moving up in weight.
Yeah, totally.
Matter of fact, the current middleweight champion. My bad for interrupting.
No, you're good.
Robert Whittaker, when he moved up from 170 finally, because remember his last performance at 170 was unflattering. He got smashed by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and moved up and has looked like a world beater since.
Yeah, and I just think that anyone that's feels like they're cutting too much weight, move up.
Please.
Why not? I think we're starting to see that the advantages of being bigger don't necessarily outweigh the advantages of fighting at where you should be fighting at.
Because I feel like everybody is catching up technique-wise at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean,
the playing field's getting a lot more even.
When you look at the top of each division, and I mean, some divisions are different than others, obviously, but when you look at the top of each division, I mean, you're looking at insanely complete fighters.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
and they have it all
complete.
Yeah,
like everywhere the fight takes place, I mean, they are good at.
Yeah.
Like
they're not slouching at any point. This isn't 2005 or hell even 2010 where you mainly had like either a wrestler champion or just a striker champion or a jiu-jitsu champion. Like no, like these guys are jacks of trades and masters in some. I won't say master of none, but masters of some.
For sure. We'll let that go into the main event of the evening, the light heavyweight title on the line. As I don't really even understand what happened with the belt. Whether
really like. Because
I mean, you can't. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on this because I feel like it's hard to say to strip DC, but either way, however that happened, whether he relinquished it, whether
he was stripped, what have you. Besides all the politics of it,
exactly
with that belt on the line,
we got an interesting, to say the least, light heavyweight fight on last Saturday night.
As entertaining as it was, I still feel and it was a fantastic match, right? I felt a little, I don't want to say underwhelmed, but I felt like it was missing something, like when you're eating one of your favorite dishes and you can't figure out what it was missing. The fact that, Gus Torres growing in that first round, I feel like it cheated us all as fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Because even though I still feel like the outcome of it would have been similar, I don't think it would have been as quick and as decisive as it was.
Definitely. I think it obviously affected the fight in a big way.
Because Gus did not look like the same person he was in the second round.
For sure. And yeah, I think that at this point, like I agree with you. I think the outcome would have been about the same. Maybe not that quick as you said, but I still think at the end of the day, I think John Jones was going to win that fight. I don't know. There's something about Gus that I think that he's not the fighter that he once was.
No.
And I don't think that he's the fighter that fought John Jones the first time, and not in a good way of saying that,
Yeah, no, like there's definitely we're looking at a different Gus.
Yeah, for sure.
And it may be due to piled up injuries, because he's been saying he's been kind of injured for a while, and you kind of seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he kind of looked like a glass cannon in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Like he put on a pretty good first round. Stayed pretty neutral, but you could tell he was firing at will.
I think he's 31 now too.
31.
So I mean, he's getting up there, and I think you're totally right. I think injuries are playing a big effect.
Yeah, and honestly, you never know which concussion does or what a certain concussion does to a person, but to be completely honest, he hasn't looked right, quote unquote, right, after that Anthony Johnson knockout.
Yeah, and I mean, even what blow? Like, I mean, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a clean knockout.
Yeah.
You could have a certain blow that doesn't even knock you out, that could change everything. I mean, speaking of which, look at him in the first Jones fight where he got hit with that spinning elbow and he was never the same.
Yeah, like you watched him kind of get taken out the fight almost.
Yeah.
And he wasn't finished, but he might as well have been almost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it was minimal offense he was putting up after that, and that could be it. And it's just, it sucks because you see how talented he is, but it's just guys that are just that much more talented.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how he, goes into these title fights. Honestly, until DC and Jones leave that division, I don't think he'll rest, as champion.
Yeah. He's 31. John Jones is 31.
Yeah, so at this point, his options are, a bit slim. Now, they've been talking about him going to heavyweight, which I would love to see. Him pack on a little bit more muscle. I think he'd have some pop behind his punches. He'd definitely be, top 2, top 3 fastest heavyweights?
Yeah, my biggest thing about that, though, is that, I mean, who's he taking punches from at heavyweight? Because, I mean, we saw what Anthony Johnson did to him.
For sure.
I just don't see him being able to compete with the power. But, I mean, it's something that we kind of just were talking about cutting weight, is that, you move up and you think that power is going to be,
so much more scary, and it turns out to, not be. Like,
that speed and endurance factor.
Yeah, and the fact that you didn't, drain yourself so much, you can probably take those punches. You know what I'm saying? And I think he can give people in the heavyweight division conundrums. Like, he'd probably box circles around, Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? Like, top tier guys. Like, and I feel like he definitely have a shot of beating them. And, him versus Stipe is a match I'd love to see.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
I mean, I think it'd be definitely a good fight.
Like, and I don't think there's anybody he matches up poorly with, per se. way in the heavyweight division.
For sure. So we get a little bit about Gus. What do you think about John Jones going forward? What would you do with John Jones at this moment?
You know, that's that Johnny Bones big redemption life. That's what we talking about. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Because even that whole WADA, USADA, NSAC whole thing, I was just listening. I'm literally about to wrap up Joe Rogan Experience with Jeff Nowitzki.
Same.
Right. And basically it clears him of all wrongdoing. Like, and it's crazy how long some of this stuff will stay in your system.
Yeah, when Nowitzki was
breaking down
the long-term metabolites,
yeah.
I mean, that is insane.
Because that's something this man took 2 years ago, and it's still showing up in his system.
And I really, my bad to interject here, but I really like Nowitzki's theory about the fact that while he was cutting weight and he was amping up everything, and that's why he popped for it. That whole theory he had made a lot of sense to me, because I mean, why wouldn't like that activate? Which then I think kind of brings on a whole nother debate to whether, well, what's it doing? If you working out and really getting ready for a fight, and you know, being in those dog days of camp, and that's when it activates, what's it doing for you? Is it doing anything? And I know it's such a small level and whatnot, but at the same time, the argument he made with tainted supplements,
yes,
but they still also have to serve some time because it's still in your body
at that point. Yeah, and
so
you're still getting an unfair advantage over, you know, another fighter,
and no matter how minimal it may be. Now, I'm also not saying that, I mean, even if he is getting a benefit from it, I mean, it's John Jones. Like, what is it really doing?
Because we've seen the talent. We know the talent is there.
We know what we're dealing with John Jones. So, I mean, it doesn't worry me. And if I was fighting in that UFC light heavyweight division, I mean, I'm not really necessarily, yeah, it's something good to talk some shit about and, you know, make it more than what it is, because that's the fight game. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't really necessarily be worrying about my health.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's just a risk associated with the sport, period.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly what I was just about to say, was I wouldn't be necessarily worried about my health over those picograms of that long-term metabolite as much as I'm worried about my health of what's John Jones going to do to my health.
Exactly. How is he going to affect my health? You know,
exactly.
My brain health.
Exactly.
Is he going to be the guy to give me CTE?
Exactly. Because them elbows and, you know, one kick to the head from John Jones is...
Night-night. Time to go night-night.
Yeah, not good to take. So
what's next for him, though?
That's getting back to where we were at. Yeah, exactly. What's next for him? We talked about it this week. I don't want to see Jones DC3 at 205. If we see Jones DC3,
it should be at heavyweight. He should have to go meet DC, because
it's gotta be.
You're the one trying to redeem yourself. You know what I'm saying? He's the guy that kept that division afloat while you were, you know, sorting out your personal demons and going through your trials and tribulations. So yeah, I feel like you kind of do owe him that much.
Yeah, let's see it at heavyweight. And I mean, we've seen it twice at light heavyweight. I mean, I think we kind of know how that goes. DC, he has his moments until, you know, until Bones figures it out. Basically figures him out. So at heavyweight, you know, maybe some of that dirty boxing. Does DC have maybe enough power to put him out?
Jones,
knock him down. You know, anything significant.
Yeah, and I believe he has all the tools to hurt Jones at heavyweight, because at heavyweight, he's taken slugs from, you know, Cain Velasquez for the past 10 years almost, as long as he's been in the sport. So John Jones isn't going to hit him with anything he hasn't seen before, and I feel like these past two fights have been nothing but lessons for him, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, even something one thing is John Jones, how much power is he going to have at heavyweight? Because one thing that we were literally talking about in the middle of the Gus fight was, you know, we all know John Jones doesn't have finishing power.
Yeah, what do they call him? Pillow fist?
Pillow fist.
Yeah, you know, he's not, you know, the most powerful puncher.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not his stilo. He likes to, you know, pick you apart. That's kind of his thing. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, he does a damn good job.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, asking him for, you know, a spectacular knockout, good luck.
How does DC's wrestling fare against John Jones at heavyweight? Another question I want answers to. At heavyweight, there's more questions than answers. I feel like at 205, there's more answers than questions at this point.
For sure. Because, you know, they've ran it back twice, you know, at 205. And, you know, I feel like we've definitively seen everything we've needed to at 205 between those two because it's obvious DC doesn't have an answer for Jones at 205.
Yeah.
And honestly, at heavyweight, it's a pick 'em.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you because at that point, I mean, I feel like the biggest thing for Jones is the same thing that's the biggest thing for him in every fight is Jones just never stops. He never stops. He's constantly putting a foot on you. He's constantly touching you. He's constantly doing something, feinting, moving, looking for a different
getting angles. Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Constantly getting angles. And
100% of the time, John Jones is never resting during a fight. Even maybe he's not moving too much, but he threw a little teep at you that it didn't hurt, but it kept you away from him.
It's kind of crazy just to see his work rate like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially a man that probably weighs about 230, 240, cuts down to 205 for fight night. To keep up a work rate like that it's nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, totally. But at the same time, the way he does it, the way he knows that I'm gonna throw. It's the same way like the Diaz bros, the way that they box. You know,
and even when they're resetting, like you still see them setting something up, still moving forward, getting those hands moving. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And just continual movement and continual. Maybe is he gonna hit me with a jab? Is he gonna kick my knee? Is he gonna throw a leg kick? Is he gonna throw a teep to the body? Is he gonna throw a teep to the head?
What is he gonna do? Is he gonna throw a high kick?
At every moment in the fight, you have to be worried about what John might do.
You never get a mental break until they, till the bell rings.
Exactly.
That's the only time you get a mental break, and even then, you know what I'm saying? You still you're trying to listen to your coaches, so you really can't even take just a little time off.
For sure. Before we totally get off the subject of MMA, I want to ask my boy Randy over here from a little bit more of a casual view from it. What do you think about Jones and DC matching up for a third time?
I'm kind of along the lines of where you guys are with it. I don't care to see it at 205. I'd rather see it, in DC's favor, just because I think DC deserves it. And I just think DC ultimately will. He'll have a chance to outpower Jones with that fight. So we'll see. The technique of Jones versus just the physical, I guess, dominance of Cormier. So we'll see. Where that goes.
For sure. Okay, so leading from MMA into some football.
Good old football.
Got the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Especially Saturday really has some good games.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. It has the Colts and the Texans first up, and then Seahawks Cowboys. And both of those games honestly seem fuego.
Yeah, I'm excited for both of them.
Because can he completely redeem himself? Taking 2 years off from the sport, dealing with that shoulder injury. And is Deshaun Watson the leader that we think he is? God, I can't wait till these questions are answered on Saturday. How do y'all see that matchup?
See, I don't see it necessarily as redemption for luck.
No?
Not necessarily redemption. I think it's one of those things where it's just you're happy to see him come back the way he has. Because I say redemption is like he did something wrong for taking all that time. When you have a gruesome game like football and you have an injury like he had, I feel like you got to take all the time in the world until you just feel like you're ready to come back. I wouldn't necessarily call it redemption. It's just great to see him back. I mean, I guess it could be under redemption, but when I think redemption, I'm thinking like
you're thinking of
they did something bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
like the John Jones situation.
Yeah, exactly.
That was some redemption on Saturday.
So yeah, I mean, like you said, man, it's just a fantastic matchup. Him going against the moxie of Deshaun Watson. It's just, I mean, when you look at what he's done since his days at Clemson and going against the giant in college that's Alabama and Nick Saban and really conquer that and just to see what he can do on the NFL playoff stage. I'm hyped. I'm just hyped.
Can Bill O'Brien get it done too? Because I kind of feel like this is about the time we start talking about Bill O'Brien and get that conversation going. Can he lead that team to the promise? Is he the guy? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that game kind of decides it because you're going to be dealing with Andrew Luck in that division for at least the next 4 years.
Oh yeah, and I mean this is a huge game just for the fact it's a divisional team you're playing. I mean that heightens it that much more to me because now it's like, well, I mean, can we beat them when it counts? I mean, we're right here. It's like, I mean, just like looking back at that as a Chiefs fan, looking at that Chargers game. Okay, we lost by a point, whatever. At this point, I really see that as a fluke. They got lucky that night. That night was theirs. Yeah. How many years had it been since the Chargers actually beat us? How many many years has it been since they beat us at Arrowhead? I mean, if they come back to Arrowhead for a playoff game, no chance in hell they're beating us.
We're gonna be on that ass.
Oh yeah.
So I think that just brings it as, you know, just like if we play the Chargers at some point in the playoffs, that is that much bigger just because it's a divisional team and you have to beat those teams. We know that team. You know, we can beat them. We see them twice a year. So you're seeing the Colts for a third time this year. You better figure out a way to beat them because the Colts right now, I feel like the Texans are the better team, but the Colts are surging, and I mean that is scary. Yeah, and I mean that's just scary in the playoffs. I mean you look at teams like I mean the Giants the year or the Steelers in 06 that won the Super Bowl. I mean they were a wild card team that came in and it was the Bengals they beat. So it was a division rival. They ended up beating the Bengals. Moving forward, they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Same thing with Eli and the Giants in was that 07 I think?
Yeah.
And beating I'm pretty sure it was the Bucks on the road in the very first game.
Wow.
And but you know you just feed off that energy. I mean and with it coming into the playoffs, you know it's the perfect time and to have that energy around that football team of the Indianapolis Colts. I mean that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this is the whole thing because on paper, you would think like, oh, you know, this is the Texans game to lose, right?
For sure.
But, you know, on paper and on the field, obviously two different things. And
two different things.
Because you would think the Texans defense would definitely be able to get it done, but they still are lacking a secondary. Even though they tried to shore it up a little bit by signing Honey Badger.
Yeah.
You still see plenty flaws, and Andrew Luck is definitely finna, you know, get surgical out there.
For sure. And I mean, like we were just talking about, I mean, how good has Andrew Luck been so far?
He has returned to form.
Yes. I think one thing you know about Andrew Luck is he's going to go out swinging.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless, he's going to like 40, 50 times, and then let's see where the chips fall.
For sure.
So, I think Deshaun Watson is somewhat the same way, but Deshaun Watson, he has a good team behind him.
Yeah, he has elite
So that's why
weapons.
I think, you know, it's good that you brought up Bill O'Brien because they have a team on their side. So what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
As opposed to Andrew Luck, he's really only throwing to one elite guy. I mean, they can make vast improvements on that team that
For sure.
Deshaun Watson really already has in play. What are you going to do with it? Bill O'Brien, how are you going to get your team ready for it? So I think that was a good point that you brought up as far as coaching.
For sure. And now I feel like we kind of, you know, look at that matchup enough. How about them Cowboys? Yeah, nah. Just
I think they're gonna lose. I'm saying it because Russell Wilson is battle tested. We know what he can do
time and time again.
It's the playoffs.
Playoffs is about quarterbacks.
Playoff is about quarterbacks
for sure.
What do the Cowboys do in the playoffs? They lose.
Fold.
For the past 20 some odd years, they lose in the playoffs. What does Russell Wilson do? He wins for the most part. He doesn't have the same team. He doesn't have Legion of Boom, but they still have a formidable defense behind him.
For sure.
With an awesome run game.
Exactly.
Run game.
Chris Carson has been tearing it up because if you had asked me last year, do I think Chris Carson would be top 5 in the league in rushing, I'd tell you hell no.
He was there.
I agree with you, man.
That's
just facts.
Pete Carroll. Look, me and him was literally have mind meld at this point. Pete Carroll knows how to establish the motherfucking run.
He really does. And I mean, look at him his whole career. Look at USC. I mean, the guys that he had. I mean, look at the way Reggie Bush performed at USC.
Also, I don't feel like Jason Garrett is going to get it done.
No, and I mean, that's a guy that he's not an NFL head coach.
Nah, he's somebody's, assistant coach, some type of, offensive coordinator.
He's a guy Jerry likes.
Exactly.
He's a guy Jerry likes.
Jerry likes and Jerry can control.
Exactly.
And
at this point, they'd be better off going and getting Tony Romo out of the booth. Coach
that's
the team.
Big facts, but he knows he's not going to be able to control
Tony.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tony's his own man.
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest problem is just Jerry controlling that whole team. I mean, and that's been the problem for a long time.
But I will say, though, that would be a great, if anybody, I think Tony would be a great solution to that problem because at the end of the day, Jerry Jones has a lot of trust and love for Tony Romo. So I think who better than to come in?
And I think even just in the booth, you can tell the knowledge that dude has.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he wouldn't be a bad option at all.
No, for sure.
But both of those games. Okay, so for Saturday, picks. We'll start with Rowdy Ray.
Starting off with me. I'll go Texans.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Texans.
You got the Texans, and on the NFC side, who you got?
Oh, Seahawks, man.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be.
Yeah, I got Seahawks. Yeah, I'm going Colts.
Colts, Seahawks.
Colts.
Okay.
Just I'm going Colts.
I want to say the Colts, but I'm gonna give the Texans that home field advantage. But I'm definitely going Seahawks. I mean, I figured we probably all three go with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be a clean sweep across the board. And then Sunday we got Chargers versus the Ravens. Ooh,
that's a good game.
Yeah, it is.
Is that the only one?
Oh no. And we got Eagles versus the Bears. It's just
that's a good game.
I can't lie.
Sunday is. We thought Saturday was good. Yeah. Sunday is just
on another level. I'm sorry, I just got too excited about Ravens versus Chargers.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, that game is just there's so much in that game.
And again, like you can't undermine what Lamar Jackson has done to galvanize his team.
Exactly.
True.
This man has single-handedly saved Jim Harbaugh's job.
Yeah, completely.
Let's talk about it.
Really, completely though. Because, I mean, like, and at this point, I mean, if he just works and gets his passing a little bit better, I mean, he's a stud.
Yeah, exactly, he is a stud. He at that point, it'd be hard to exclude him from a top 10. And the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, in like 5 of his 6 starts, they've gotten over 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, and I mean that's a lot to do with him.
Exactly. Oh yeah, because drawing that extra defender down there in the box and making sure they can't play coverage, it stifles a defense.
Well, I mean, look at that the rushing touchdown he had against the Browns, where it was damn near a 20-yard run. I mean, just watching him catch that seam up the middle and just once he's got it, he's got it.
Oh yeah,
he's got it. It's done. You better hope your safety can catch him.
Pray to God.
Right.
But even though as much as we're kind of fawning over the Ravens right now, Chargers they are scary.
That's a team we saw.
Watched
live.
Yeah. It was kind of weird to watch Phil not get rattled at Arrowhead,
especially that last drive that they put on was just phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, there was nothing that the Chiefs could do.
No,
and I mean, shout out Bob Sutton.
Boy, I was gonna say, yeah, your boy BS.
Boy, on some BS.
Oh shit, nah, Billy Bob Sutton was fucking him up.
Oh, Bob Sutton, boy.
This is the thing that throws me off the most because everybody likes to talk about the Steelers wide receiver core. Mm-hmm. The Chargers for the past like 3 years have had like one of the nastiest wide receiver cores.
And I mean, drafting of Mike Williams. I mean, just adding to it. Travis Benjamin. You got Keenan Allen. I mean,
and then still Tyrell Williams is like your 4th guy. Yeah. How is he your 4th guy?
And Antonio Gates' old ass still out there.
This man out here hitting post moves.
Man,
getting it done.
Getting it done. Though. That's all. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, though,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
Getting it done.
And with Melvin Gordon, and then a solid backup with Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
And then his backup is good. Justin Jackson is nice. He could be somebody's RB2.
They have done an amazing job with scouting and going out there and finding the right people for this team.
For sure. What's their head coach name again?
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn. I was like, man, we got to support black coaches, yo. It's at this point, it's a shortage.
Yeah, for sure.
Them round of firings. Quick side note on that, I feel bad for Vance Joseph. He didn't really get a shot. They didn't try with him. He had to deal with Brock Osweiler and Case Keenum as his quarterback.
Okay, so getting back to Sunday.
We were moving on to the Eagles and Bears.
Bears.
St. Nick is delivering again. He has brought Philly to the postseason.
Boy, what a crazy world we live in.
Right, where this man couldn't, hit the broadside of the barn, to quote my man Schroeder over there in Kansas City, but he looks like a god out in Philly.
Boy, and I mean, he's got that team. That is almost Foles' team.
Yeah. Really. It's kind of weird because it's just like watching a co-owners, co-op between him and Wentz. Like, hey, bro, take care of the regular season. Get me to the postseason. I got you.
Yep. And it's almost low-key our first 2-quarterback system.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I don't work.
Right. I don't think we'll ever actually see a 2-quarterback system. But, I mean, low-key, we got a little one going on right here.
Sure do. And I can't lie. It's kind of working.
But do you think they go into Chicago and beat the Bears?
No. To be honest.
They can?
They can. They for sure can.
The Bears can be had. But, no. To be completely honest, Philly's secondary is too much of a damn liability.
Yeah. And you got so much talent around Trubisky.
Oh, my God, bro.
So much talent. I mean, just that backfield alone.
Exactly. You got Jordan Howard. You got Tariq Cohen. And then his receivers. He's got Taylor Gabriel up there. He's got Allen Robinson, my fave. And Trey Burton is not bad. And it's kind of cool because he gets, it's a revenge game.
Yeah. And Taylor Gabriel was such a smart and quiet move that they made to go get him. I agree with Randy, though. I don't think they're going to go in there and beat him.
This is the worst part, is that, they're counting on that. That's the worst part. And they're just using that as fuel. And we've seen it. It works for them. They love being the underdog. dog.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's gonna be a great game. That might be the game I'm most excited for this weekend.
I can't lie. Like, that's the game I'm definitely probably gonna stay up late for and get my oodles and noodles and watch. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you have it's 2 historic franchises, man.
So for Sunday picks, we'll start with Rowdy Ray over here at the end again.
You know what? I'm going Ravens.
I'm going Ravens too.
Going Ravens. My boy Action Jackson getting it done.
I'm going Ravens too.
And the Ravens are at home.
They sure are.
Ravens are at home.
They sure
because
are.
the Chargers are a wild card.
Also, let's talk about the revenge aspect of it too. Eric Weddle gets to exact his revenge against his former team. So everybody Ravens?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Ravens too. You know, in Baltimore, that's my biggest thing, because if they were in LA, I would maybe lean.
Man, that'd still be a home game for the Ravens. Cause come on, have you seen?
Never mind. You right. Never mind. Excuse me. You are right.
Every game is an away game.
So we're all with the Ravens.
Pretty much.
Okay, so that second game, I mean, me and Randy both said we're rocking with the Bears.
I think Ray leading Philly.
I think Ray's leading Philly too.
This is the worst part. This is coming from a damn Patriots fan. I should hate Philly,
right?
But I don't know. I've seen the magic of Saint Nick.
Oh yeah.
But Saint Nick is going to deliver on Sunday. He's going to bring Philly to the promised land.
Okay, we're gonna see about that.
Yeah.
Pray I'm right.
It's going to be a good game. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the first edition of the SchroBanks Show, recording from the Rated R Studios. We're going to be trying to put out a podcast a week. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, SchroBanks Show. We got Instagram and Twitter, both at SchroBanks. We got Facebook at SchroBanks Show as well. Go ahead and follow us on all those social media platforms, and we will see you next week.
Be safe, everybody.